Welcome to another episode of Talking Shop. I'll tell you, I'm really enjoying having these conversations with advisors all over. Brett Koeppel is joining me from Buffalo, New York, to talk about how things are going. So first off, Brett, thanks for taking the time to join me. How is everything out in New York for you?
Sure, man. Happy to be here. All is well. We're in Western New York, so I would say we are taking it a little bit more seriously than maybe some of the rest of the country, but nothing like New York City. But we have our health and we're doing well. My wife is a physical therapist and she's still working full time. She's in a hospital, but she's a trooper. So yeah, we're both grateful to still be able to work because I know a lot of people aren't in that same spot right now.
So is she bringing home a lot of stories from the hospital about COVID, or is she kind of removed from that?
Yeah, so she's not specifically COVID facing, thankfully yet or anything like that,
Mhm.
but still, she's around a lot of people, a lot more than probably you and I are right now. So, yeah, I give her a lot of credit.
So how are things going with clients? Part of this is I want advisors to hear what are other advisors hearing from their clients. What are the conversations like? Whether it be I should be doing that, or okay, good, I'm in the same camp as other people. But how are things with your clients right now?
They're going well. So, a little backstory: I actually just launched my own firm back in the fall, and
Perfect timing.
so yeah, it's been again perspective. Like I think we'll look back and think it's a really good opportunity. You could say, hey, probably not the best time to start a business before a global pandemic, but I think now is a really good time to provide value to people. So yeah, I was pretty intentional about the clients that I brought with me. So it was really just a handful, and I'm kind of starting fresh. So that that probably plays into it a little bit, but everyone's been great. Really proud of them. I like to think it's from some of the prior conversations that we've had, but I've honestly had more conversations with people asking about investing more than changing their allocation, which was pretty cool to see.
Nice. And you hit on something that we were talking about offline, figuring out how can we work this in. You teed it up beautifully. So you mentioned that maybe we're able to look at this as an opportunity, that we come out on the other side of all this better. And I know that sometimes when we say stuff like that, for people who don't have the luxury and the benefit of being able to work like we are, and we're pretty blessed to be in the situations we are. Your wife is still working, she's healthy, you're working, you're healthy. Same thing on my end. So to say we might come out on the other side stronger and better to somebody who just lost their job or had a family member pass away, it's kind of hard to say, but I am an eternal optimist, and I do think that you've got to try to find the opportunity, the silver lining in everything. And I really liked what you had to say before we started. So, how are you envisioning this potentially being an opportunity, not just for yourself, but for clients and everybody on the other side of this?
Yeah. I'm in the same camp. I always try to see the good in everything. But I just think from whether it's just like being a genuine person and being helpful and putting yourself out there, I think this is a wonderful opportunity to just, people are looking for answers. They're looking for leadership right now. So, trying to just put yourself out there and, whether it's through pro bono planning or, helping clients see through it. I think we're going to look back and say this was really a time that you could step up for people in need. And the point we were talking about earlier was more so the premise of trying to use it as an opportunity to kind of reset and reevaluate.
Mm-hmm.
And so I've been encouraging everyone I can to just kind of take a look at what you're currently doing now that you want to continue doing. What are some things that when we get back to normal, which for what it's worth, when we get on the other side of things, what do you want to do differently,
Mm-hmm.
and try to take a look at what some of the commonalities and common themes are. So for me, it's even with like my parents and our in-laws, we've been having weekly Zoom meetings. We just had Easter Sunday via Zoom,
Mm-hmm.
and I'd love to continue that, or just having more routine and more structure in my day. Like this whole thing for me has been very much, even just from the start, has been kind of an experiment of just learning, when I'm most productive and energetic and kind of leaning into that.
Mm-hmm.
I come from, a background of I worked, 9 to 5 in a suit for the last 7 or 8 years.
Mm-hmm.
So this whole thing has been kind of an experiment and learning about myself.
I'm looking forward to seeing what can, me personally, what can I and what can others, what can we leave behind? So you mentioned what are the things that we're doing now we want to carry forward? What are the things we want to pick back up? But what are the things we were doing in the past that really aren't as valuable as we thought they were, and then leaving them back there? So I do think of the reset option. And also, to your point, forming good habits. We were talking, you said Atomic Habits is one of your favorite books. And we just read that in the AGC as our book club. And I'm bad about keeping on habits and like taking the micro and making them compound and build them into habits. And what I really wanted to do with this is like, we're not going out to eat. We can control what we're eating. We can try to eat healthier. I have no practices, no games to go to on the weekends and in the evenings. So getting into an even better workout routine and try to do more so that I can come out on the other side of this personally in better physical shape, healthier than I was going into it, just because I had the time to build good habits and then hopefully stay with it, that when I come out on the other side, those habits are ingrained, and now I keep them when I go back to being able to go to Five Guys, which is right across the street every once in a while, and it's in splurging on a lunch. So
Yeah, I do miss some of the food, but we got a good takeout scene here in Buffalo. A lot of local restaurants, so still keeping up.
So anything that like with conversations with your clients that have surprised you, other than their willingness to look at this as an opportunity to invest, any other things that have surprised you?
Yeah, so client wise, I would say that was probably the most surprising was the whole, everyone was totally fine with it. It was a little more proactive outreach to them, but everyone, they kind of get it, which I know we've had some discussions in the past about that balance between, do you reach out
Mm-hmm.
and do you talk to about the markets when that's one of the core tenets is, to have it that financial planning is much more than just the
Mm-hmm.
investments. I would say, I have one client who is retiring this May, actually, newer client. And so that was a little different conversation, just as far as helping her kind of reframe that, it's not that she needs all of the money now,
Mm-hmm.
and still investing for her future self. So it's felt a lot more energizing and kind of fulfilling. Like I've found that I've had a lot more conversations, and it seems like a lot more meaningful conversations with people. So, hoping that, relationship wise, that will come out better for it on the other side.
Well, it makes sense that part of the conversation or a big part of the conversation focuses on the investments right now, even if we are educating our clients that we do more and we act, not just educating, that we actually do more. But if you think about the financial plan and the components of it, what in the financial plan that's been set in place and is now active is changing now because of what's going on. Chances are insurance needs aren't. Chances are estate planning's not. Taxes, maybe there's some opportunities to go through that. So that may be something that comes in the conversation, but that's not top of their mind. And Christopher Klepp had a great comment in the last one. I'm so glad he said it. He said he needs to be prepared to talk about what's on his clients' minds. And it's going to be the market, right or wrong. That is a part of what we do. And if that's where the concerns are, we need to address those. And then we can go back and say, okay, now that we've just the market, here are some things we could do from a tax planning situation, given this year we don't have to take RMDs or whatever it might be. But if that's what's on clients' minds, that's what we're going to address, regardless if we are trying to make them realize our value extends beyond that. Right now, that's the one thing they're thinking about. So we need to address that because that's the pain point. Eventually, the pain point will be, they're going into a long-term care situation, or they have a family member pass away, or they have a child. Then that's when the conversation shifts. But for most people right now, the main focus is am I going to have a job? Am I going to have income? If I'm a small business owner, is my business going to make it? How do I navigate these waters of all the small business stuff? And if I'm a regular W2 employee who's still working, the other big thing is I hear all this stuff about the market. My investments are down. That's where we come in. So I don't think we're doing any disservice by focusing conversation on investments right now, because that's the pain point. That's what needs to be addressed. And I think coming out of this, the conversation is going to be, well, let's really revisit your plan. Coming to your point, what are the things you want to do going forward? Has anything changed out of this experience? Have you reprioritized things in your lives? And let's go revisit your plan to see, is your plan taking you in this new direction? And if not, what changes do we need to make? We tweak the things inside the portfolio or inside the plan that need to be tweaked, and then the portfolio will get adjusted based off those goals as well. So yeah, I agree. There's no question we do way more than the portfolio, but that's what's going to be being looked at right now. And the plans may get adjusted once we get through this event and everybody knows everything's going to be okay. They've reevaluated their goals. I'm excited for those conversations coming out of it. I'm really excited to really prompt my clients about, okay, out of this, what did you miss the most? And what did you not miss that you were surprised about? Okay, don't even bring that back in. Leave that out. And what can you do with the dollars that went to whatever that might have been that leads you towards the new vision that you want? And I think that planning is going to be a lot of fun coming out of this.
Yeah, I think it's especially useful for most of the clients that I work with. They're getting ready to retire, and especially useful. I know a few other planners in the space really stress taking a mock retirement and just kind of understanding what your lifestyle will be like when you are home and not doing that. And granted, I know most people are fortunate enough to work from home and work remotely to some extent, but just some of the social principles of being in the same space as your spouse, or just understanding what parts of your life right now that you enjoy and some things that maybe work towards improving. I think it could be really useful.
I love the idea of the mock retirement. What I have not done a good job of really forcing clients to do, it's been more of a suggestion that I've offered up, is let's take that retirement income that we're planning for. So you need X amount of dollars per month. That's what we've always said. That's what we have built into the plan. And for the next 6 months, live on that and that alone. So having your checking just that amount, sweep everything else over that you might be having while you're still working, and let's really see, can you live off of whatever that amount is? And like, it's never going to be perfect, because some of the things you do while you're still working will be different than your retirement, but at least gives you an idea and a feel of, okay, what does $4,000 a month spending actually feel like? And can we really do a lot of things we want to do on that, or were we kidding ourselves? I think so I love the idea of a mock retirement, whether it's activities or playing with the budget and try to see what it feels like. I think it's a great idea. So in closing, getting everybody's best tip or tips that have worked for them working from home that maybe other advisors might want to hear. What's one thing that you've done that's helped you remain productive, that you're real glad that you did, or it could even be on the personal side to help you have good balance? What's one thing you would offer up to an advisor who's finding themselves struggling at home, that's worked for you?
Sure. Yeah, there's a couple of things. I would say, first and foremost, the importance of structure and having, even more specifically, like a morning routine. I've noticed a dramatic difference in my days if I, don't get enough sleep, or if I don't, hydrate enough in the morning or get a good sweat in. So, without question, I've played hockey my whole life, and I've played, been on the ice a couple times a week for probably the last like 25 years. So not having that, you need to build in more of the structure around it. So, just paying attention to how you feel during the day. So I've noticed that just getting a good sweat in or lifting weights in the morning, I'm so much more energized throughout the day. So just kind of paying attention to what are some of the things that energize you, and then what drains you of energy, and kind of building it around that. But still very much a work in progress.
Anything else?
No, I think that's it, man. Obviously, I hope that everyone's hanging in there and staying safe and sane. But this has been great. I've really enjoyed hearing some of the different perspectives, and it's been a fun thing to be a part of.
Well, I appreciate you taking the time and sharing your experience of what you've learned and what you're going through with everybody. The goal is every episode, one person out there takes something away from it. I have low goals. If we can get one advisor out there to take one thing away from each episode, I will consider these all extremely successful. So I definitely think that there's some good in this that'll happen. So Brett, I appreciate you taking the time. I'll let you get back to your day so you can finish it up and get to the weekend. Everybody, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. If you're on the podcast, I do a horrible job of this, but please, if you like it, share it, subscribe, like, all those things that make me uncomfortable to ask, to spread this around so more advisors can hear these conversations and meet Brett Koeppels of the world. So Brett, thanks again. And everybody, we'll see you in the next episode.
Yeah, thanks, Justin. See ya.